Techniques are important, but keep in mind that anyone can learn technique. And technique alone will not give you the painting or after. When it comes to creating a truly impactful art, it is more than just techniques. Impactful art involves your understanding of the subject, about the nature, mood and environment, with a strong composition. So in this video I will tell you what 6 things you will need to create an impactful art. Let's dive into that. So this is the painting. I will show you how I did that. First of all, the number 1 rules to create a big painting is sketching your compositions. You need to remember that. You have to try with different compositions from different angles. You need to move the object from here and there. Not necessarily you will have to copy everything that you see in the photograph or in plein air. So you've seen that I did some sketching. I also did different sort of sketching. Idea for this painting came up from one of my old painting which was done in Gundagai, New South Wales. I had this sketching, I had the one you can see down at the bottom, I had another one in next page, I had the cars drawn in different perspective, the ships and everything. If you're out in the nature or doing plein air, you can do thumbnail sketches, something like that. So after analyzing all of these sketches, I tried to build the pieces together and came up with these sketches. So this was my first goal, to make sure my painting or my sketch looks perfectly fine. It follows the rules of composition. Now the second step would be setting up the tone of the painting with proper washes. Here in this painting, I tried to analyze first what sort of tone I want. Was it a early morning, late afternoon, or winter morning, or summer day, midday? This sort of thing I need to keep that in mind and plan ahead. If it's early morning, maybe the color tone would be very soft and hazy. If it's a summer tone, then probably the color tone would have very strong shadow and this kind of thing. In the rainy day, that would be different. Here I try to do the morning scene in the farm. So still it's not midday yet. So my mood will be a bit of hazy. So I drop some yellow ochre and set up the background and also put some ultramarine blue to set up the sky. Here one thing to remember, as this is the morning scene and my plan is to make it hazy. So I wet the paper on the top and on the back thoroughly so that I have some time to settle down the color properly on the paper. See how wet the paper is, and I'm slowly just adding a bit of raw sienna and ultramarine blue onto that one, just having a bit of tone of shadow in the end. It will dry up really lighter later on. I'm also setting up my background forest with cobalt blue and bit of raw sienna mixed. Don't worry about if the colors look too dark, so it will dry up lighter as well. And here on the left hand side, I'm just adding very light color in there, pale, because I want my sunlight to hit on that side as well, so it will not be that darker like we have in the right hand side. When it's finished, let this be completely dry. And next stage would be drawing the big shapes. So I have middle values for these background trees now. As you can see, the previously painted background became really lighter. So now with this middle value, I'm just creating a big shape of the forest in the background. So all the big shapes I'll be doing at this stage. I'll start with the lavender for this gum tree, the blue gum tree. Just draw the big portion of this tree, stems and all of the stuff. I will not doing the branches stuff now. As I said that on this stage, I will only concentrate on creating the big shapes. So once my big shapes are done, I will have the whole picture of my whole scene in front of my eyes, and I would know that where my value I need to increase or decrease, and that's how you will achieve your goal. I'm just adding burnt sienna on top of lavenders. That will create that blue gums effect. Also, in the down at the bottom, I'm just adding a bit of mix of burnt sienna with neutral tint. I will also be adding some darks at this stage, because the big shape, when I do that, I try to describe as much as possible in the initial stage. Later on, I would have the references to do the details on all of this stuff. So this kind of shadows and the textures on the trees is at this stage I will try to define those, but not in too much in details. I'll start doing a little bit of ideas of branches. I wish to draw another tree on the left hand side as well, so that's a big shape as well, that's included in the big shape, so I will do that one at this stage as well. With the side of the brush, I'll make sure my brush is really soft like natural hair. So with bit of cobalt blue with mix of raw sienna, I'll create some greenish colors. Also use pure cobalt blue, or sometimes add a little bit of Chinese white. Now with raw sienna and with bit of water, I will create the top part of the trees where the sunlight is hitting, so that will be a bit of lighter in color. In values, I will be using some tissues to lift up some colors to have some morning effect. Okay, now in the next stage is very important, which is building focal point. This is the most important part, because this is where your painting will start to take shape, will start to make sense, and will start to pop up, because when you draw the focal point, everything will start popping up. You use the dark, you'll use the contrast, and little bit of with the details, you make your focal point really crisp. So here my focal point is the blue gum tree, but without this old truck, this focal point wouldn't make any sense. So the subject is the blue gum tree with the old truck. So that's why I am drawing the focal point now with the contrast of the background hazy effect. When drawing the tire, one thing to remember, the tire should not be dark. Tire should not be pitch black. Make it a grayish, and on the top of the tire where it's in the shadow, make that one dark enough. For haystack, I'll be using yellow ochre with a bit of raw sienna. I'll make sure below there, down at the bottom, is a bit of darker with a higher value. I'm using cheap Chinese brush to draw the grasses, and with a dry brush stroke, just slowly painting those grasses. Okay, now this stage is called connecting shapes. Here I am trying to draw the fence and trying to connect the tree with the background or with the foreground. So when I draw the fence and then I will draw the verticals, then it will connect with the shadow of the tree, as well as it will also connect to the background. So this is how we can do that. This is very important when you draw any painting, connecting two shapes or multiple shapes together. It could be through the shadows or with any other object. So this is very important because the composition of your painting depend on this. Human eyes move through the painting from object to object and try to connect one object to another one through these connections. So it is important for a good composition to connect multiple objects with one another. For example, here I have connected the background with the foreground, drawing this figure. Figure needs to be painted very quickly, like starting with the torso and then quickly hands and lower body and so on. Well, if you want to learn how to draw figure quickly and effortlessly, there's a link in my description where you can download the PDF and do the practice at home. That ebook could be very good reference book for you and to do the practice how you can draw the figures or you can draw the scenery around those figures. Download that. I can tell you that will be helpful for you. Tree foliages are another way to connect background with the foreground. And when you draw the foliages, I would ask you to have one dedicated brush to draw these random brush marks for foliages. Just have one cheap brush from Chinese shop, which is not too soft or not too hard. Just abuse them, make it worn out, and just leave that one in there. And that will create some random mark. So these are important. So do that one. I can tell you that will be really helpful. For gum tree leaves, this is a very distinct color in Australia if you can find. I have used a bit of cobalt blue, a bit of yellow ochre. I have added a bit of lavender color with that one. And don't forget to use some dark values in there. Do not draw any foliage, do not paint any trees and tree leaves just only with the single values. Have varieties of multiple hues, chroma, multiple values, colors, this kind of thing. You can use sap green as well if you want to. Branches also connect one object with another one. You're probably thinking that I have started doing the detailing stuff already, but which actually I'm not. At this stage, we are only doing those things which connects one with another one, like fences, shadows, people, branches, this kind of thing. This is what I'm doing at this stage, even though it looks like detailing, but that helps. When drawing sheep or cattle, it is important to draw only their very distinctive sign. For example, the horses, for horse, the ear is very distinctive. For sheep, the face is darker in values, perhaps black or something like that. Those are distinctive. And for the cows, the whole body, whole shape, like the back, everything is very distinctive than any other animal. So you don't need to draw those in details, just draw the distinctive feature of that specific cattle or of that specific animal. Now, drawing the figure's attire is another important stuff. Even though that's a part of the detailing, the reason I'm doing this one now, just because I'm using this white pigment, which is gouache color, to draw these farmer's attire or dress, and so that I can use the same gouache color to draw the smoke in the background. The smoke is for connecting from foreground to the background as well. So that's the reason I'm just doing detailing at this stage now, but detailing will be in the end. With the same white gouache pigment, with the tip of my brush, I can lay it on the painting and use that one for haze or smoke. This is very common in Australia, but we burn, it's called hazard burning, especially in the farms and bushlands. We do that in the morning, early in the morning or late in the afternoon, so that it reduces the bushfires and those kind of stuff. So this is common sense. So I tried to utilize that effect, create a mood and environment in this painting. I think I'm almost done with these haze and smokes. So now the final stage is called detailing. So this is where I use all the reflections on metals, or reflections on shoulder or clothing or anything, to make it a bit of distinctive kind of stuff. And I'll be finishing it up with the shadows. I'll just draw some morning shadows, so it should not be too dark. It's light sort of shadows, because there will be some reflected light on there as well. So make it very light ultramarine with very slight touch of alizarin crimson to make it a little bit purplish. So I think I can call it a day. I really like it, and it came out exactly the way I wanted it to be. I will probably call this painting is Under the Blue Gum. What do you think? If you have any other nice name, please come up with that one on the comments. Please share and subscribe and like my video if you really like it, and we can do every now and then something like this more often in next videos. I will see you then. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much. Bye.